Welcome back again. Last video for trigonometry, and in this one we're going to do finding unknown angles in triangles using trig. Okay, alright. Before we start, I just want to tell you about something like finding unknown angles in trig. So say we have sine theta is equal to 0.3. We've got something like that. What we're going to be doing in this video is trying to find what that angle is. What is theta? Theta is the angle, remember? And so trying to figure out how to find theta. Now, if you had something like, let's say 3x equals 0.3, how would you get rid of the 3? Well, you'd have to apply the inverse operation to the 3. Because this is 3 times x, you need to divide by 3, don't you? Is that how you get rid of the 3? You apply the inverse operation of that to get rid of the 3. In this case, we want to get rid of the sine part, so we need to apply the inverse operation of sine. Okay, so what is that? What is the inverse operation of sine? Remember, the inverse operation of times is divide. The inverse operation of subtract is add. The inverse operation of square root is to square, you know. So what is the inverse operation of sine? In fact, it's worked out for us, and what it is, it's called sine -1. That is the inverse operation of sine. And this is really important. So if you had sine theta is equal to 0.3, then what we do is we apply the inverse operation. So what we do is we go sine -1 of sine theta equals, now because we applied the inverse operation to this side, we need to apply it to this side, sine -1 of 0.3. Can you see how we applied sine -1 to both sides here? And what happens, just like when you times and divide and that 3 will cancel out with that 3, this sine -1 will cancel out that sine. It undoes it. It cancels it out. Okay? And so what you're left with is theta equals sine -1 of 0.3. And you go, well, what the heck is that? Well, you go to your trusty calculator again and you ask it, what's sine -1? And now you'll see above sine on your calculator is sine -1. So to get to that, that's the second menu. So you press second, sine, and that gives you sine -1. How about that? And then you type in 0.3, close the bracket, and press enter, and that'll tell you what the angle is equal to. So the angle is equal to 17.46. Equals 17.46 degrees. Okay, and that's the process for finding out an angle. If you know sine theta or cos theta or tan theta, all you have to do is apply the inverse operation of sine, cos or tan. And you'll see on your calculator that above sine is sine -1, above cos is cos -1, above tan is tan -1. They're the 3 things that we use to undo a sine, cos or tan. Let's jump into some examples, because I'm sure you're begging to see some of these. So, straight into an example. Typical triangles that always look the same. And so we've got angle theta there that we don't know. And say we have 5 and we have 17 there. How big is that angle? That's what we want to find out. Firstly, what's the ratios? What are our sides? Well, here, that's your opposite side. This is your adjacent side. And this is the hypotenuse over here. Which ratio do we need to use? We want the one that uses the opposite and the adjacent, and in fact that's tan. So let's write that down. Tan theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. Therefore, tan theta, so theta is our unknown. See how before we had a side that was unknown? Now it's the angle that we're trying to figure out. So opposite is 5. 17 is your adjacent, and this is the equation that we need to solve. So how do we we want theta. How do we get rid of tan? We use tan -1. Okay, so therefore theta is equal to, if I apply tan -1 to that side, that disappears. It'll be tan -1, and I'll just leave that as 5 over 17 like that. That's a nice, neat way to do it, okay? And then you go to your calculator. 10 negative 1 of 5/17. So just clear that. So we want, firstly, go to 10 negative 1. So second, 10 negative 1. And then we want to put a fraction in here. So we'll press the fraction button and go 5/17. Press across to get out of the fraction. And then do your close bracket. And then press enter. And that tells you 16.39. So that is equal to 16.39. And what are we talking about here? Well, this is the angle that we're measuring, so it's actually 16.39 degrees. Don't write down centimeters or meters or anything like that. It's the angle, so it's degrees. Theta is equal to 16.39 degrees. And that's how we find missing angles. I'll do one more example, but I reckon you've got the drift already. The hardest bit is actually just using the calculator to do something that you might never have used before. So, gotta get better than that surely. There, and there. Figure out the faster you do it. See, I did that slow and it turned out really bad. The faster you do it, the better. Good. And so let's try to find out what this angle alpha is here. Just going to change the letters up. That's alpha, another letter that we use for an angle sometimes. And I'll say that this is 47 meters and that this is 11 meters there. Find angle alpha. Firstly, again, label the sides. Here, opposite, because it's opposite the angle. Here, hypotenuse, because it's opposite 90 degrees. And the one that's left over, adjacent. So label your sides. Bang, bang, bang. What's the ratio? That's your second question. What's the ratio that involves adjacent and hypotenuse? So car is our answer, AH, car. So we've got cos of alpha is equal to adjacent, which is 11, over hypotenuse, which is 47. Awesome. So therefore, to get rid of the cos, we apply cos negative 1. So cos negative 1 of 11 over 47. Into your calculator, and then you're done. It's really that simple. Once you've got the concept, it's really simple. 11 over 47. So we want cos negative 1, so second cos, and we want, I've forgotten already, 11 over 47. So enter a fraction in, I put a fraction in there, we've got 11, press down to get to the bottom, 47, press across to get out of the fraction, close the bracket off. I don't know if you need to close the bracket, it probably doesn't matter, but always good to, just in case you stuff something up. And our angle is equal to 76.46. Equals 76.46 degrees. That's the size of that angle there. Okay, and that's trigonometry. Basically, if you understood all the videos, that's the end of trigonometry. Of course, you need to know how to apply those into different worded questions and that sort of thing, but that is the basics of trig. Enjoy.